Now, when we're talking about cars that want to kill you, we basically mean the most dangerous cars that you can buy right now. And yes, there have been some absolute death traps over the years, like the Chevrolet Cobalt and the infamous Ford Pinto. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the cars that are as internationally and as readily available as possible. Now, to put this list together, we have trawled through so many reports from ANCAP, Euro NCAP, Vic Roads, NRMA, the RACQ, Monash University, the NHTSA, and the IIHS. We then compared those studies to reports of the highest selling used cars and the used cars that most populate used car classified sites. Now, after all of that, there are so many cars that swim in the very bloody dangerous end of the pool. So to hopefully make this easier and more enjoyable to watch, we've split the rankings into like categories of cars. Oh, also we've excluded any cars that were really dangerous that their manufacturers have recalled and re-engineered and fixed to make them noticeably safer. And kicking things off for the small-ish car category, it's the Nissan Micra and a couple of dishonourable mentions. The specific Micra that we're talking about here is the second and third generation cars ranging from 2002 to 2016. And according to the safety experts, these little Nissans rate as among the worst cars for safety on our roads. While the Micra offers like okay protection for the head and neck of the driver and front seat passenger in a frontal impact, the chest, leg and feet protection is just truly terrible. And the same can be said for side impact test results. Plus, and this may vary depending on where you're located and which specific model of Micra you're focusing on, these little hatchbacks miss out on electronic stability control and a host of other safety tech. Again, and depending on the model and where it was made, there are also concerns surrounding the body quality and the overall strength in an accident, and the Micra exhibits incredibly poor child occupant protection. But the Micra is not alone in the smallish car category. We'd be extremely cautious of the 6th generation Ford Fiesta from 2009 to 2017. According to the experts, the Fiesta has a serious weakness in the front overlap crash test. Results indicate that severe and catastrophic injuries to the head would be possible in a serious crash. And finally, for this particular category, the 2011 to 2018 4th generation Hyundai Accent sedan is one of the worst rated vehicles on the IIHS's top 10 most dangerous vehicles in America list. The structure and the safety cage is regarded as being very poor, and the driver and front seat passengers may experience severe injuries to their hips, thighs, legs and feet if involved in a crash. Plus, the front passenger's head, even with an airbag, may be injured because of poor positioning of the seatbelt. Now, unfortunately, there are dozens of cars that the experts deem as dangerous in this smallish car category. So if you are in the market for one of these cars in this particular category and you want it to be safe, and you should, make sure you do your homework. Okay, next up, we're talking medium to large-ish cars, and kicking things off, it's the Toyota Camry. Now, the specific Camry generation that we're referring to here is the 1997 to 2002 XV20. And while, just like the previous category, there are loads of potential contenders, with how incredibly popular this generation of Camry still is, unfortunately, it does take out the top spot for this particular group. Yes, these are incredibly reliable, and when serviced correctly, they might just very well run forever. But trust us, you do not want to have an accident in one. ANCAP tested this model 22 years ago, and even back then, it only scored a 3-star rating, meaning these days it surely is delving into the negative stars realm. Many variants don't even have a passenger side airbag, and this generation Camry is regarded as having a truly horrendous level of occupant protection. And while all variants they do have anti-lock brakes, that's about the only safety tech on board. Yes, there are still loads of these on our roads, and they are super affordable and plentiful on the used car market, but they are a death trap if something goes wrong. As is the case for the 4th generation 1999 to 2005 Hyundai Sonata. Like the Camry, there are still loads of these on the used market, but just like the Camry, we're talking incredibly concerning levels of safety thanks to a near complete lack of it. Yes, a $3,000 Sonata might seem like a bargain, but if you value your face and legs, we'd be avoiding it. Okay, next up it is the small-ish SUV category, and this one personally breaks my heart because I love all of the cars we're about to mention here. It's kicking off with the Suzuki Grand Vitara, but there's a couple of others. Now, if you're a Suzuki fan, you might want to skip ahead because what we're about to talk about may upset you. We've featured the 2nd generation 1998 to 2005 Grand Vitara a few times here on ReDriven Top 5s, as these little four-wheel drives are incredibly capable off-road, they're showing great reliability, and they offer bargain prices for just how rugged they are. However, everything does come at a price, and in the Grand Vitara's case, that price might be your life if you have an accident. While the Grand Vitara's frontal collision results are at best regarded as acceptable, there's still a high chance that you're going to crack your skull on the roof and the B-pillar, but it's the side impact style of accident that will really rock you. The overall evaluation was incredibly poor, so bad in fact that the injuries sustained to the occupants' heads would most likely be catastrophic. Plus, like many other older SUVs, thanks to a high center of gravity and a lack of modern safety tech, the risk of rollover when performing evasive maneuvers is bloody high. And unfortunately, another Suzuki didn't fare much better. It's the SX4. In one particular study, out of over 30 small cars and SUVs tested, the SX4 ranked dead last across multiple criteria, and at best only received a rating of fair in side impact tests. And then we come to the real heartbreaker, because I bloody adore these things. It's another Suzuki, it's the Jimny. According to ANCAP, the Jimny misses the mark with structural and design weaknesses, poor protection of pedestrians and cyclists, and a lack of effective safety aids. And they continue. Our engineers observed a number of issues in the frontal offset test, including excessive deformation of the passenger compartment, with penalties applied for a loss of structural integrity, steering wheel and pedal intrusion, and knee injury risk. Insufficient inflation of the driver's airbag was also observed, with the dummy contacting the steering wheel through the airbag, indicating a reduced protection in a more severe crash. But regardless of all that, if you own a 2018 or 2019 Suzuki Jimny and you live in Sydney or Newcastle or somewhere close and you'd be happy for us to feature it on ReDriven, can you let us know in the comments or message us on Instagram, because we would love to feature one. But a warning, I might not ever give it back. Okay, next up we're moving into the larger SUV and four-wheel drives category, and it's pretty good news here, as long as you ignore the fact that many of these just want to roll over. Most of these are relatively safe, but a few aren't, and we're going to start with the Mitsubishi Delica. While not technically an SUV as such, being heavily based on a Pajero, it is a four-wheel drive and it is designed to lug people all over the place. But again, it's another vehicle that I personally bloody love, but the safety authorities despise. Plus, unfortunately, the fourth generation 1995 to 2007 Delica warning also extends to the People Mover variant Space Gear or Star Wagon and the van variants Express or L400. Even the current generation Express is a bit of a shocker in terms of safety, receiving a 0-star rating from ANCAP. While it seems almost obvious that the earlier generation Delicas are surely more concerning when it comes to safety, there are simply more fourth generation models on our roads. And regardless of that, according to multiple safety authorities, these fourth generation Mitsubishis, in any form, are simply one of the most dangerous vehicles on our roads. In four-wheel drive form, they are a genuine rollover risk, and with an almost complete lack of safety tech, there's a high chance that they will roll over if you need to avoid something in a hurry. But in the horrible occurrence that you do end up hitting something, all occupants will be incredibly vulnerable to severe and possibly catastrophic injuries. See, the problem is the Delica in all of its forms are basically variants of a commercial van, and even today commercial vans are often way behind in terms of safety, let alone a van that was built back in the late 1990s. But there is another contender here, and it's going to upset many of you, especially if you're a Jeep fan. It's the Wrangler. According to the authorities, no matter which generation you're referring to, all Wranglers are shocking in terms of safety. But let's focus on the most popular in terms of what is out there on the used market. It's the JK. One organisation actually states that there are very few cars that tested worse than the two-door JK Wrangler, with one of them being the larger four-door version. Inside impact crash testing, the crash test dummy was struck by the steel bars that support the convertible roof, and neither the two or the four-door variants had any protection for various body parts, including the driver and passengers' heads and the heads of anyone sitting in the back seat. In its defense, Jeep have made quite a few upgrades in terms of safety to the current Wrangler, but there are still a few issues. We're talking about a lack of driver assist equipment, a weak passenger compartment that can lead to driver injury, and a dash design that can injure the occupants on impact. Now guys, before we get into our final category, if you're enjoying this video and our content in general, and if you haven't done so already, can you please hit those like, subscribe and bell buttons, because just doing that, it allows us to make more of these videos for you, and we'd love to keep making these videos for you. So what about cars that are a little bit spicier? That's right, it's performance cars. And I'm guessing you guys all have a sneaking suspicion of which car is going to top this particular category. That's right, it's the Ford Mustang. The 2015 to 2022 6th generation Mustang is well known for not only its incredibly underwhelming safety ratings, but it is apparently a bloody nightmare to control when you're leaving a Cars and Coffee. Regardless of this, the Mustang remains as the world's highest selling sports car, But no matter how popular it is a shocker in terms of safety. The structure and the safety cage have received marginal ratings at best, and here in Australia, the Mustang received a 2-star safety rating due to its poor performance in adult occupant protection, child occupant protection, and safety assist technology. Like, we're talking about a car that was released in 2015 here, yet it doesn't have lane support systems, autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warnings, or even rear seatbelt reminders. In its defense, the Series 2 Mustang did fix all of this up. Although there was also insufficient inflation of both the driver and the front passenger's airbags in a frontal impact test, which resulted in the driver's head hitting the steering wheel and the passenger's head hitting the dashboard. But it's not alone in performance cars that want to kill you. At the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of performance cars, it's the Abarth 595, but the earlier ones. Being basically the performance variant of the Fiat 500, more recent Abarths have been fitted with a reasonable amount of safety equipment fitted as standard. However, regardless of what safety tech they may or may not have, all Abarth 595s and 500s and 695s and their plethora of special editions exhibit worryingly low scores for adult and child occupant protection, and especially in convertible variants. Cars that are as internationally and as again, depending on the model and where it is manufactured, is very dangerous in this smallish car category. In four-wheel drive form, bars that support the convertible roof. And Ruth, hey Ruth, would you still buy any of these cars, or are they all like a seal? NCAP, Euro NCAP, Vic Roads, the NRMA, the RACQ, Monash University, the NHTSA, and the IIA. Oh, damn it. I knew I'd the last one. Here we go. So guys, after all of that, would you still buy any of these cars, or are they all now on the do not buy list? Let us know in the comments. See you next time. Bye.